The 3D printing industry has changed a lot over the last 10 years, and some would argue that it's changed even more in the last 3 or 4. And when you think about a lot of the factors that play into that, I'm not sure if any of them play a bigger part than artificial intelligence or AI has in the last couple of years. And I'll be honest, for me, AI played a big part in me learning as much as I did about 3D printing early on. It was something that I could ask it questions. I was able to troubleshoot my devices and troubleshoot prints. And anything that I had a question of, I could throw it in ChatGPT and get an answer about. Over the years, I've definitely spent more time troubleshooting in ChatGPT than I'd like to admit. But now I use AI for a little bit more complex things, both because AI is growing at a pretty alarming rate and because my knowledge of 3D printing is also growing. And with that, the creativity, the possibilities, they all kind of grow with it. And today we're going to be looking at one of those new tools that's continually pushing the industry forward, and that is Hitem3D's version 2.0 of their image to 3D model generator. I've never used Hitem3D prior to today, and I'm really excited to see how this product and this tool can really fit into a real creator workflow. When Hitem3D reached out to me and I started taking a look at their platform, I was a little blown away and honestly overwhelmed at the possibilities that kind of showed up. To take a simple 2D image, fill out the geometry, fill out the texturing, and give you something that's able to be exported, sliced, and printed immediately, it's truly unbelievable. And it makes me wonder where the industry is going to go and how it's going to change from this point on. I have a 2D image that I have selected that I'm going to put into Hitem3D's new 2.0 generator and see what it comes out with, where we're able to go with it slicer wise, and if I'm able to print this as easy as I should be able to. Now, a few things that I want to look at. I want to try to match the geometry. I'm going to give it something that's not necessarily easy, but I want to see and kind of test its limits. So I have something in mind that I think I want to use. All right, so we're on the PC now. This is the image that we had Gemini create. I asked for a futuristic kind of like steampunk vibe mixed with arc raiders. Give me a helmet, and this was one of the ones that it came out with that I really, really liked. So we're going to take this image. All right, so we're going to take our image and we're going to go ahead and upload it into the Hitem3D 2.0 generator. So there's going to be an option just to upload your image. You're going to click and select it there. And we have a bunch of options. So we're going to keep it on model version 2.0, the new model. We're going to keep the resolution on the Pro version, and we're going to keep the geometry plus texture on. Honestly, if you've never used this before, you've never used any type of model generator like this, I suggest just leaving the stuff as is, and then you're going to go ahead down here and click generate. Wow, I'm very impressed with what this was able to come out with. It did take a few minutes to generate. What it did in those few minutes was nailing the geometry and nailing the texture kind of all around. All right, so now from here, you just go ahead and you would download this. I'm going to go ahead and download it as an STL file, and that'll make it easy to import into Bamboo Studio. I'm going to go ahead and download that, and once it's downloaded, you go ahead and get that moved over to Bamboo Studio, which I'll show you here in a second. All right, we got the STL imported into Bamboo Studio. We're going to go ahead and just print it with normal settings. I got the seam in the back. We're printing it with a 0.2 millimeter layer height. 10% infill with cubic infill shaping, normal 2 wall loops. We are going to use supports, obviously, to make sure that this comes out as great as it can be and there's no failures. The top and bottom Z distance, I adjusted to 0.275. I do that on a lot of my prints. It just makes the supports come off a little bit easier. Other than that, I'm using a BQ CryoGrip frostbite plate, so this should make the adhesion top notch, so I won't need a brim. Let's go ahead and get this sliced. And we're looking at about a little under 400 grams of filament and 14 hours. So let's go ahead and get this printed on the P2S, and we'll see what we get when we come back. All right, while we wait for that to finish printing, it's going to be about 12 to 13 hours. I went ahead and I found some other images that we could put through Hitem's generator and just see how they come out and we could print with. So next one I tried was just this photo of my dog. I wanted to see how it could handle real life animals or people. And this is what it came out with. I really think it knocked this one out of the park. Just the details and the proportions in general, really, really unbelievable. Let's see how it turns out in the slicer. All right, got this one imported. Colored it a little bit just to make his collar red, make it a little bit more realistic, but details in the fur and the texture that it was able to figure out and load on its own. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get this one printed as well. All right, this was the last image that I generated. It was just kind of a modern desk sculpture type thing that I wanted to create and see what we can come up with. Also wanted to make sure that it was something that could be 3D printed on one of my printers. So let's see how Hitem did this one. So again, really impressed, really nailed the geometry. Not much texture to this one other than just the smooth surfaces, but the curves, the geometry, the proportions, all really match the image that we got from Gemini. So I'm gonna go ahead and export this one as an STL as well, and we'll get this one in the Bamboo Studio too. Gonna print this one in the Bamboo Silk Plus. Print it with supports. Let's see how it turns out. Yeah, with supports, only gonna take about 5 hours, and we should have a nice desk sculpture that we could show off. Welcome back. It's the next morning and we have some finished prints. Start off by showing you guys the helmet first. Had a lot of supports. You can see the supports inside were pretty easy to come off, but all the overhangs, it took a little bit, but man, the quality, just nailing the geometry, but then also the different textures. Like on the model itself, it kind of noticed that it had a different texture on the top here, and it is different. It's almost like a dimpled type of texture, but overall definitely could have been scaled a little bit bigger. But I'm not planning on wearing this. But man, look at that. All right, next, so that was the helmet. Second one was the dog statue. Here is Parker Man himself, red collar and all. Again, this only took about 2.5 hours to print from the model that I exported from Hitem. Unbelievable detail. Printed with no problem. Supports came off super easy. Unbelievable what you can do with this thing. So that's a real life animal model. And then finally we have the desk sculpture that was generated by Gemini. Just get close. So obviously there's some texture issues, overhang issues, just from probably the model being generated and whatnot, but the geometry, the way it printed, it's really nice to look at. We have our examples from Hitem3D, everything that I've tested so far. I'm going to give it some more tests on my own and just see what I could do with it, but the possibilities are kind of endless, from cosplay stuff to furniture to caricatures or almost like action figures of people or animals. The sky is the limit almost, or Hitem3D is the limit, I would say. Phenomenal at what it can produce. In other AI generators that I've used, they load very quick. It's a very fast process, but it doesn't really nail a lot of the geometry. And especially if you give it a 2D image, it'll nail the front of the image and then you'll rotate to the back and it is not complete. It doesn't work out and it doesn't make sense with the rest of the image. This kind of eliminated all that guesswork. Not only did it take that image and maybe realize it was a helmet or something like that, but it hollowed out the bottom and it completely filled out the geometry and the texture around the entire thing. The photo of the dog and the sculpture. So obviously I could have tweaked the prompts to get different 2D images to use. For a first chance and a first stop, this is really awesome. What Hitem3D is bringing to the industry is the ability to have an idea, and if you don't know what route to go down, or if you're not sure where to go, or if you don't have the CAD experience to make it come to life, this is a really good starting point. I don't think it's going to be something that overhauls CAD or anything like that. I think that's just crazy. But this is going to be another tool that 3D model artists really can use, and hopefully to their benefit, and not feel like the jobs are in jeopardy. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you guys stopping by to see what Hitem3D is starting to bring to the 3D printing industry and its AI capabilities. If you guys like this content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and most importantly, just keep following along. I really appreciate your support. all the comments. I read every single one of them, and they mean a lot to me, just to see that what I'm putting out there is valuable and other people find it valuable as well. Got a lot more content coming your way, got a lot more different styles of things that I'm testing out like this, and I hope you guys are sticking around to see it. I hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you guys next time.